Hello there, Drew Hanish of Whiskey Lore, and time for another whiskey tasting video. And today, because it's the day before St. Patrick's Day, we're going to get a little Irish, but we're going to do it American style. So I am doing a tasting today of J.W. Kelly's Golden Age Straight Rye Whiskey. Now, being that it's a straight rye whiskey, that means that it has to be at least 2 years old. And if it's less than 4, then it needs to have an age statement on here. There is no age statement that I can see on this bottle, so that means that this is at least a 4-year-old whiskey. It's 94 proof, and what's really cool is if you look at the bottom, it tells you what the mash bill is, which is something I would love for a lot of brands to do. It is 65% rye, 20% malted barley, and 15% malted rye, which is a really interesting mash bill. And so we'll do a little tasting here and get into what it is all about. And I'll tell you a little history behind J.W. Kelly as well, something you may not have known about this brand if you've seen it before. And then I'm going to do a tasting and a nosing of this as well. Now, one thing about J.W. Kelly, they are doing a lot of research right now and digging in and finding old newspaper articles. And he was a civic leader in Chattanooga. He was originally from Ireland. He had around 1865, I think is when he moved to Chattanooga. By 1866, he wanted to create a whiskey brand, created a whiskey brand. And I believe, I got to go back and look, I believe he started out rectifying whiskey. Well, that's kind of where we're at here. This is a sourced whiskey that they have brought in. I'm not sure exactly where it was sourced from. And when Prohibition hit, the J.W. Kelly had passed away already. Something needed to be done with the distillery. And so the owners of J.W. Kelly actually ended up partnering with a Kentucky distillery in Henderson, Kentucky. A distillery whose name still exists, but it's not in Henderson, Kentucky anymore. Any guesses? I'm going to do a nosing and tasting, and then I will tell you afterwards. By the way, if you enjoy the videos, make sure that you like and subscribe. Hit the bell if you want to be notified whenever new interviews are up or whenever I'm doing another tasting. Right now I'm doing them daily, so it's going to be hard to miss them. On the nose, this is very herbally, as you would expect out of a rye. There's a little mint character to it. It's kind of a sweet herbal rye on the nose. Really nice on the palate. Medium to heavier mouthfeel on that. It starts out before you really get in towards the finish. It starts out herbally and sweet. Then this char comes in, little bit of licorice actually. If you're a fan of black licorice, you're probably going to like that note. If you're not, you may go, not quite sure. Then it goes into the finish where the char starts to come through, and the char is a little bit bitter the first time you take a sip of it, which may be a little off-putting. And so what I'm going to suggest is that when you drink this, you actually come back to it a second time. It's going to kind of mellow that out. There is this white pepper on the finish. It's got a little bit of that lemon citrus peel that comes in, that mixes with that pepperiness. The licorice is still there, but not quite as strong, and really a sweet rye note as you come in towards the end. Nose picks up a little bit more, a little more grain on the nose when you nose it the second time. It's just a nice, subtle, herbal rye on the nose. So the distillery that J.W. Kelly went in 50-50 with in Henderson, Kentucky, I guess around 1915 or so, because that's when they had to evacuate Chattanooga, is Kentucky Peerless, which is also known for their rye. So Kentucky Peerless is actually, and I was stunned to find that out. But if you look at advertisements from 1915 up to 1920, when Prohibition kicked in for everybody, or 1918 for Kentucky, there is a picture of the old Kentucky Peerless building in Henderson, Kentucky, the same one that you'll see if you go to Kentucky Peerless and see their big advertising when you start your tour. So really interesting. I thought, wow, I had no idea. I've heard of distillers moving from Tennessee to Kentucky to kind of save their businesses, but I had no idea that J.W. Kelly's business was 50-50 partners with Kentucky Peerless. I hope you enjoyed that review. I'm going to give this a good mark. I think it is good. It's $30 a bottle, so, or in that range. So it's actually a nice value. I think it's a quality rye whiskey. And so I give it a good mark. And until next time, cheers and slanjava. Little caramel on the finish there as well. I like black licorice. And there it is.